That's obviously not the right one. Sorry, guys. Technical difficulties. You got someone who's. Well, hello. What's going on tonight? J-Mac here with you. Joined by my brother from another mother. Big B, what's going on, brother?
Not much. I kind of like the Monday show because it just indicates it's my Friday, so I get the next couple days off. But it's always nice to talk to you and the rest of the bros when they're on. So it's always good rap session, we'll call it.
And he likes pointing that out to me every Monday too, that it's his Friday, because then it's my Monday, my week's starting and his is ended. So, although not this next weekend, actually, it's one of the 3 weekends a year that I have to work. We have a big boat and boat and an outdoor show.
Okay.
So we go there and, of course, get people's information, let them know, hey, you got to insure all this stuff so that, with the Sue happy world that we live in, we want to be protected. So, anyway, tonight I want to give a special shout out before we start the show completely. I want to shout out J&R Creations. That is something close and personal to me. They do some great stuff. Check them out on Facebook, J&R Creations. They make custom wreaths and really for any holiday. They did some Christmas ones, some Thanksgiving ones. They're doing some Valentine's ones. Valentine's is coming up, guys. You got 16 days left. Actually, 15 days left to buy stuff. Well, you know what? Valentine's is one of those working in retail that you sell more stuff for Valentine's Day on Valentine's Day than you do any other day of the year. And it's usually all the guys running in at the last minute. And then they're complaining, why don't you have anything left? Well, because you're the idiot who came in here the day of. So anyway, don't forget Valentine's Day is coming up. But I also want to say, guys, that we don't need to just celebrate our significant others on Valentine's Day. Let's not forget them any other day of the year also. Every day is Valentine's Day if you treat them right. So Don't forget that. All right. So Big B, we got the big game coming up 2 weeks from yesterday. It will be Super Bowl.
Oh, the Oregon Cougars made their. Oh, you're talking that big game. Okay.
Yeah. Super Bowl 57, I believe. Is it 57 this year? Yeah, 57.
Wow.
Yeah, crazy. And he's not with us tonight, but let's not let everybody's favorite savory treat forget that it's Super Bowl 57 and the Cowboys still haven't been in the Super Bowl since it was Super Bowl 30?
I don't know, 95, something like that.
29, 30, something like that. So they've skipped over a few on that.
Well, the Purple haven't been there since 77, 78, so.
Yeah. It's true. They have not. In fact, I was watching a video before we came on, and they had the 10 most heartbreaking losses in conference championship game history.
Okay.
And there was one team that landed on there 3 times.
Probably Minnesota.
It was Minnesota. Yeah.
because you got the Bounty Gate.
Bounty Gate. Yep, that's one.
You got the 90. You got the missed field goal one. That was what, 98? And then
Yep, and
I'm trying to think. Would it have been the Niners one back in the late 80s, late mid 80s?
That was the other one. Yeah. And the missed field goal by Gary Anderson was number 1.
Oh, I guarantee. Oh, yeah, that was hasn't missed a field goal all year long. I mean, indoors.
Well, I know. Not only that, and they said the other reason that got voted number 1 is just because that team at the time set the NFL record for yards in a season, points in a season. They had the second best defense in the NFL. They had a kicker who didn't miss all year. That team, I will tell you, they went to the Super Bowl. They would have won that year. That was the Vikings' year if there was a year for the Vikings.
And that would have been against
Denver.
Yeah, okay.
Denver. That's
I don't know. That Denver team was pretty good. I mean,
yeah, but that's when
you
they
got a
won
coach
back-to-back.
that. Yeah, that's true. But I just don't get it. You got a coach, or you got the best young receiver in the league. All you have to do is throw it up to him, and you're running the ball at crucial times. And it's just like I think if I remember right too, right before halftime, they're running the ball to milk the clock and taking knees and stuff. It's just like, throw it up to Randy Moss. All he has to do is just go get it. I mean, yeah, I don't know.
That was all you had to do then. That's kind of crazy. So a couple of comments rolling in here. Shardol is with us. Shardel Gupta. I think he is Big B's biggest fan, by the way.
I gotta have somebody's got to be one.
Thoughts on Brock Purdy's UCL injury versus the Eagles?
Tough
I
break.
don't know what thoughts he won. Yeah, tough break. I still don't think they would win that game, to be honest. I don't think. No.
It wouldn't have been that big of a blowout, I don't think. I mean, but San Fran had a good defense going in. I mean,
Okay, I mean, they did. I agree with that. But, and everyone's talking about the Devontae Smith catch in the first quarter when he caught it, but he didn't catch it and he went to the ground. But here's the problem with it. 49er fans can say that all they want. But if you want to challenge that, then have the challenge flag ready. And the second it hits the ground, throw it. Because the Eagles played it exactly how you should have. They saw that there was a chance it could get challenged. They ran to the line, snapped the ball, and now it's over. You can't challenge it.
That is one. I don't want to say miscue on the challenge. What am I trying to think? The downside of the challenge, because if everybody sees that, this could be challenged, they're going to run to the ball, snap it quick. I mean,
right. But what do you? Okay.
It's the rules there. I mean, everybody plays by the same rules. So, like you said, J-Mac, have it ready. I mean,
have it ready. And if you know that that's what's going to happen, I don't know. Because how do you take that rule away? How do you say that if a team runs to the line, snaps the ball, they ran a whole nother play after that, you're going to stop the game and be like, oh, wait a minute, this last play doesn't count because we're reviewing the one before it? Like that, I don't know.
The only thing that would offset that is that official up in the press box can push a button and say, nope, we're reviewing this play.
Okay, I might be with you on that one, but I don't want to take any more time. Like we're already
I know
over 3 hours per game, and so even if these people came up and made a rule of like, oh, you have to wait 5 seconds. No, I'm sorry, it's already takes too long to play a game as it is.
No, it does. I mean,
so
like you said, have that challenge flag ready. I mean,
have it ready.
Yep.
I mean, you had time. They had time, honestly. They had time. Maybe not to review the play itself, but if there was any thoughts from you at all that he didn't have control when he hit the ground, you should have already had that challenge flag out and ready to throw it before they were able to snap it.
No doubt.
And for all the 49er fans that are like, we lost the game on that play, you lost 31-7. That one play didn't make up 24 points.
Yeah, I would honestly say you probably lost in the first quarter when, Purdy went out Josh Johnson comes in and does nothing for you guys. He goes out with the injury. You got McCaffrey taking a couple snaps, I heard. It just tough breaks. I mean, the Cinderella series season had to end. I mean, I wanted the Niners to win. And I thought the game was going to be better. And like Christy says, if Purdy wouldn't have got hurt, it would have been would have been interesting. The Eagles probably would have won still, but
Yeah. And then we'll talk about the second game, and we'll talk about we've seen all kinds of memes today about the Kansas City and Cincinnati game. But in the end, this is what I'm going to say. You can't make that play at the end of the game. You know Mahomes is going to get the call from the player that he is. The second he crosses the out-of-bounds line, you have to stop. I don't care if it means you knew he was going to get that call.
From what I saw, because I didn't see the game, I saw the highlights. To me, I mean, he's a big boy. I mean, it's hard to stop. We're not all Barry Sanders like where we can stop on a dime and then turn it upfield again. The only thing that would have stopped him would have been his teammate, tackling him so he doesn't hit Mahomes. I mean, so.
But
I mean, it's a tough call, but the call had to be made. I mean,
the call had to be made because if you don't make that call there, then where is the line? Like where do you not call it?
The one question I would say, and I saw somebody played these two clips back to back, was it was Cincinnati's ball, 3rd and 9 or whatever, and Burrows was about to get sacked. He throws the ball towards the line of scrimmage, gets called for intentional grounding. Right call. A couple plays later, back-to-back plays. He's showing the clip, but it was 3rd and whatever for the Chiefs. It was right before the run, I believe. Mahomes pretty much does the same thing, but it's not called intentional grounding. The only reason why I think it wasn't called intentional grounding because the tight end was probably 2-3 yards away from the ball. I mean, but it was almost identical plays. So,
and that unfortunately, that's one of those calls that's a judgment call in the moment.
Yep.
And there's no review on it because how can you review something like you can't really review something that's a judgment call? And so,
but again, you don't put the game in the ref's hands. I mean,
you don't put the game in the ref's hands. So when you see Mahomes running out of bounds, you got to let him run out of bounds. You can't touch him. And I know you get your momentum going and you can't stop, but you're talking about the difference of they would have had where he went out of bounds would have been a 61-yard field goal. So you're probably going to overtime. Then you get a 15-yard penalty and make it 46.
Butler's got a leg on him, though. I don't know.
Right. I'm not saying he wouldn't have made it from 61, but it definitely would have made it more interesting. What do you have more faith in, Big B? You have more faith in sending your kicker out there for 46 or 61?
Well,
I mean, that's not even a question, right?
I don't know. That Cincinnati kicker, I think he's got a big boom on him too. But yeah, no, I would rather have a 50-yarder than a 60-some-yarder, no doubt about it.
So that definitely.
But the thing is, too, is we've seen it so many times too, where the linebacker, the defense is chasing the quarterback. Quarterback looks like he's going to either slide or go out of bounds, so they let up, and the quarterback sees that and makes a quick adjustment and gets another 3, 4, 5 yards. Because you can't touch the quarterback. I mean,
right.
So,
no, for sure.
I mean, it's a call that had to be made. Was it the right call, wrong call? I mean, but like you said, you knew Mahomes was trying to get yardage out of bounds. You could have tried to, I don't know, done something else.
Right. No, that's true.
Part of the game.
Let's see, Christy, that Eagles-Niners game was ridiculous in my opinion. If Purdy hadn't got hurt, I think the game would have been more interesting. I believe so. And the Bengals-Chiefs game was definitely more interesting. I was definitely paying attention. Well, yeah, it definitely was an interesting game.
And that's how I thought the Niner game was going to be. I thought the Niner game was going to be pretty much the same battle like that.
So way too early predictions. I'm sure we'll talk about this a lot the next couple of weeks. Don't forget to catch Coast to Coast for their Super Bowl special that'll air on Super Bowl day. Remember last year we all kind of showed what we were making for food and what we were doing for the game. And so don't forget to watch that. That's always a great entertainment. Last year was put on by the Bo and Joe show. Four Bros made an appearance. We'll see what show is going to host it this year. I'm hoping to do
morning tailgate we'll talk about or start it. I mean, we'll have our show at 10. So
morning tailgate, and then I think Four Bros might pop on for a little bit and do that. We'll probably get a mixture of all the shows on here for the Super Bowl, so it'll be a good show. But don't forget that. Anyway, here comes Mess Around. Mess Around's coming into the picture here. He's going to jump on right now. So I'm going to ask both of you one at a time. Big B, you can go first. Your way too early predictions of your Super Bowl champion.
For this year?
Yeah.
Oh, man. I'm gonna fly high with the Eagles. I'm gonna go Eagles.
Mess Around?
I'm going to go with Kansas City and Chiefs.
I knew you were going to say the Chiefs. I guess I'm the deciding factor. Look, I think the Eagles are a very good team. I think that they have played well all season. They obviously showed it against the 49ers. Now, I know the 49ers had Josh Johnson at quarterback, so you can only look so much into that. But the Eagles have had a good year, but I don't think they're getting past Kansas City. Mahomes he's the guy is out of this world. I don't even know how to describe him. Do you remember when Favre
He's
played?
A cheat code of bad.
I mean, yeah, everyone hated Favre for the throws that he could make because he would complete passes that no one else would even attempt. And I feel like that's where we're at with Mahomes. Mahomes will throw passes, and you're like, I wouldn't even have thought to throw the ball there. So, and he does that little sidearm thing, or he just pops it forward. I mean, the guy makes all the plays for sure. My only hesitation on picking the Chiefs outright is that defense, because if the Eagles' offense is on, it's going to be a shootout. I mean, we could be in for a shootout in the playoffs, in the Super Bowl. And wouldn't it be nice to finally get a shootout in the Super Bowl for once?
That would be nice because we're so used to like either a low-scoring defensive game or like a one-sided affair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would be ecstatic if we got like a 48-45 final in the Super Bowl. That'd just be awesome.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
Awesome.
That would be. And I do think, and I might not be stating the obvious, or I might be stating the obvious, but it's going to come down to the health of both quarterbacks because they're both going in
for sure.
80%, let's say, and we'll see.
Here's an interesting stat to think about, though. I had to pull this one up, and I know you guys. I always pull up the obscure stats that no one else can seem to find, but the Eagles this year led the NFL in rushing, but had nobody on their team rush for more than 750 yards this year.
That's ridiculous.
That tells you that they have Hurts that can run the ball. They have 3 or 4 running backs that can run the ball. So it's kind of interesting to think about that they have that good of a running game and they don't have one guy. And that might be a problem for the Chiefs is what I'm saying, because we're gonna focus on this one guy. Well, they have 3 other guys that they can get the ball to. So,
and realistically, the Chiefs on the other hand too. I mean, I don't have the stats in front of me, but they got 3. Mahomes can run the ball, and they got 2 decent backs that can run the ball. So, and
more than the backs, I mean, you're talking Travis Kelce, and then then you got as much as I hate saying it, Marquez Valdes-Scantling.
That guy
could. The guy couldn't catch a cold in Green Bay,
right?
But he's been good. Juju Smith-Schuster. I mean, the list goes on. Who you have in Kansas
I like that
City.
running back they took in the 7th round, Pachenko.
Yeah,
Pachenko, and then they also got that former Viking,
McKinnon.
That was with
Jerick
McKinnon. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, they have it's going to be the defenses are good, and the Eagles almost set the NFL record for sacks in a season. So I think the defense could get after it, but I'm all for a shootout. I'm voting for a shootout. That's what
that would be something different. I mean, I couldn't even tell you the last time we had a back and forth game.
Yeah. So
the Titans and Rams from 23 years ago.
Titans and Rams, that would probably be the last one we really had. And then
Patriots and Falcons, but the Patriots had to come back in that game.
Yeah, they did. That really wasn't back and forth. It was one-sided and then one-sided. So
the only game I left early on.
Yeah.
You know what really makes me mad talking about Mahomes? Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I read this article today about his father said that Patrick Mahomes and his father both thought that he was going to Chicago. Chicago told him they were going to draft him. And then we traded up one spot for Trubisky. If they would have known then what they know now.
Yep. Yep, for sure. Last thing on the NFL before we get into baseball, because we're going to get into baseball. We might talk a little hockey too, but because with the Super Bowl coming, we all know what that means for baseball. That means spring training is right around the corner. That's what that always means. But last thing for the NFL is, and I know that this is a very, very hard thing to predict, but I'm going to ask you a two-part question. First one is Brady finally going to ride off into the sunset? Is he finally done? And the second one is, does Rodgers play in Green Bay next year? Start with you, Messi. Unless he's not with us anymore. Go ahead, Big B.
Man, Tom, I think one we can guarantee is Rodgers will not play in Green Bay next year. Where he's going to play, if he plays, that's still the question. Who's willing to make the trade offer? I think Packers are looking for 2 number ones to start with. I could be wrong on that. Brady, on the other hand, I don't know. If I was him, and I think I would call it a career after everything that went on. Wife leaving, all the distractions we had on the, that, and I think you call it a career. I think he rides off.
Yeah, the interesting thing about Green Bay is who is their number one trade partner right now for Rodgers potentially?
Jets.
Yeah, what's interesting about that?
Favre went there.
Yeah. We traded Brett Favre to the Jets.
Yep. I didn't realize you guys had like 22 picks this upcoming draft. Something like that.
And so, I mean, you're talking about this fan base that hated Brett Favre for going to Minnesota. But remember, Mike McCarthy's the one that came in and said, "You're not my guy. Rodgers is my guy." So he came in. We traded Favre away to the Jets, started Rodgers, and now 18 years later,
it could happen again.
Now we're talking about trading our quarterback to the Jets.
I heard there were some other dark horses. Jets are the favorite, and I think it was the Raiders were number 2. But don't rule out who did I see? Seattle could possibly call. And who was the other team? The Titans. Those are the 2 teams that I saw that could call and just see what it would take. So,
okay. So mess around if you missed that. The question was a 2-part question.
Get off my laptop.
And there's the cat. James joining the show. Hey James, how you doing? So the 2-part question for you, mess around, is Brady finally riding off into the sunset? And will Rodgers play in Green Bay next year?
Honestly, I think they should both hang him up. They should both just, they've accomplished everything there is to accomplish in football. They have nothing left for them to prove, really. I think they should both retire, but I think Brady's going to go back to New England for his final season.
Wow.
And I read a report that Green Bay wants to cut ties with Rodgers.
Yep.
But we'll see what happens. I think he plays somewhere else next year. I don't think Rodgers can retire. I don't think he's going to be in Green Bay, though.
So I asked Big B this too. Do you find it interesting that the entire fan base was against Favre at the end of his Green Bay career? And where did we trade him to?
The Jets.
And who's our number one potential trade spot right now for Rodgers?
The Jets. I said this on
The
tailgate
Jets.
this weekend.
It's
I
just
said
kind
it's
of
going to be funny. He's going to be following in Favre's literal footsteps.
Right. No, it's kind of crazy that it happened that way. James says yes and yes, but then he says no, wait, Rodgers is gone. And I believe that too. I think they're ready to move on, especially after this season. By the way, Rodgers set an NFL record this year, if anyone's curious. Anyone know what NFL record he set this year?
I couldn't tell you.
Since the NFL went to 17 games, he's the first quarterback in league history to start all 17 games for his team and not have a 300-yard passing game.
Oh, that was on my mind too, but I didn't think that was a record.
He's the first one to start all 17 and not have a 300-yard passing game.
Because I saw that stat the other day that this is the first time Rodgers finished the season without throwing one 300-yard game.
Yep. Guys have done it in 16 games. They've never done it in 17. So,
well, Fields would have been on that list too had he played the last game of the season.
so yeah.
No, he missed the other game too. That's right. Never mind.
He did. So baseball's right around the corner. Some interesting interesting developments for sure going on in Major League Baseball. It's going to be an interesting year, needless to say, for sure. Do you guys see it the same way I do? That some of the superior teams, will say, some of the teams that have been at the top for years, the Dodgers, the Yankees, are kind of take a step back this year, and we're going to see some other teams rise to the top.
I would hope so because I'm tired of seeing the same teams every year in the playoffs. Like
Houston's another one, I think.
Houston's a funny one though because they got a mix of the young guys with the older guys, and the Padres are the same way. But the Dodgers and Yankees seem to always go out and get that stud veteran that's we all think is on his last leg, and they turn around. So yeah, I hope the Yankees and Dodgers fall off. Definitely.
I honestly hope Houston does well because they're brave signed there, and I want to see that guy get a championship here before he retires. So
yeah. Correa goes back to the Twins, and I think I know that all the Twins fans are happy, but do you know the other teams that I think are really happy about that signing is every team in the National League.
Yeah.
I think every team in the National League is completely fine with the fact that Correa ended up back in Minnesota. Because we might have to play him, maybe 3 times this year, maybe 3 games.
And, the White Sox play him like 12 times or something like that. But yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but the thing is if he doesn't stay healthy, the thing is if he doesn't stay healthy, it doesn't matter where he plays. But so that's a key factor.
Did you guys hear the thing about the White Sox big signing Clevinger? Is apparently under investigation for child abuse of his own son.
Wow.
Yeah, no, I didn't hear about that.
Do you think the White Sox should cut ties with him now, or do you think they should wait and find out everything that's going on?
It's really tough. It's a tough situation because
it's tough.
do you want the black eye over like hanging over your clubhouse if he did do it? But then if you cut ties
Nope.
with him and he didn't do it,
Exactly. Yeah.
so it's always a tough situation to make that judgment call.
Yeah, that just came out like I want to say late last week. I saw it. That he's under investigation for child abuse.
Now
Wow.
do you cut ties with him again? It's rough.
Yep.
I think if you care about PR stuff, you're probably going to, because let's remind everyone of something we've talked about on this show many times: the level of disdain, if you will, the level of how bad something is. So we take Tiger Woods, for instance, and I know this has been years since this happened, but it still bothers me to this day. Okay? The guy did not abuse anybody.
No.
He did not hit anybody. He did not kill anybody. He made an immoral decision. An
Yep.
immoral decision. But how long did we hear about how Tiger Woods was a horrible person?
Yeah.
Well, I think a better comparison would be Adrian Peterson. He was up for the same thing with child abuse, his kid.
I know, but man, like we got guys in playing major sports that have a drunk driving charge and have killed someone, and then you're allowed to be back on the field.
Yep. Or how many times has Gordon been cleared to play from the NFL?
Yeah,
That one's so dumb. Though the pot's not like a bad. I mean,
Oh,
it wasn't
that's
it wasn't legal at the time, so yeah, it was bad on him. But like, nobody's died from smoking pot.
no, you're right.
you're not wrong. You're not wrong on one hand, mess around, and I agree with you on that hand. And do I think that it's been completely blown out of proportion? Yes. But I will say some personal responsibility should have been taken in that case, because if it's on the banned substance list, I mean,
Well, yeah, I get that. That's why I said it's legal at the
yeah,
time.
I agree with you. But because for me, okay, so if you guys owned a team and you're signing me to play for your team, and you're like, these are the things you can't do and these are the things you can do. By the way, if you don't do these things, we'll pay you $4 million a year to do this. Guess what I'm not going to do? Anything on that list. I don't care what it is.
Well, another thing
Nope.
is all these football players saying that smoking pot helps them get over the injuries and dulls the pain or whatever.
Oh,
I can see the beneficial medical beneficiaries to that. I mean,
Okay. I typically don't
Nope.
go political on this show. I try to steer away from it. But I'm going to say this. I'll say this only once. I'll probably never repeat it on this show again. But I will tell you, pharmaceutical companies do not make patients. They make customers.
well,
That's what I think about pharmaceutical companies. So that's as far as I'll ever go into that topic, but that will always be my
Right.
stance. So, baseball's coming up. That's going to be a big year. They put out a list of potential players that they think are going to be 40-40 guys, like the guys that have the best chance of doing it. A couple of the guys on their list, I was like, really? You really think they have a chance? Maybe at the stolen base part, but I couldn't see them hitting that many home runs, honestly. I think that's the part that I was off on.
but again, you got to start stealing bases for 40-40 to be around.
True.
bases in baseball today is like a lost art. It doesn't get done as much as it used to back in the day.
Well, an interesting stat that came out was that Ricky Henderson in his career stole third base 317 times in his career.
Mm-hmm.
Any active player in baseball right now hasn't stole any single base 200 times in their career.
Yeah.
That's just That's unreal. That's unreal to me. That you're talking about a guy. I mean, and how many steals did Ricky Henderson have? I don't even know if we know the number.
Was it like over 3,000 or something like that?
It's a crazy number. And he did it for years. It's not like he played like 26 or 27 years. It was unreal.
And he's stealing almost, I think a couple of years he's still like almost a base a game. He had like over 100 stolen bases. So.
Yep.
And James is right. No one will steal until the game changes. I mean.
Right. Here's an interesting stat.
He had 1,406, but yeah, that's still crazy.
I mean, it might as well be 3,000 with the way it is today. I mean, so here's something interesting. We talked about both these guys on the last show, but the largest attendance for a Major League Hall of Fame ceremony was 82,000 people, in which they got to see Cal Ripken and Tony Gwynn both inducted in the Hall of Fame the same year. The second largest, 55,000. So they drew almost 30,000 extra fans just to watch those two guys get into the Hall of Fame.
Now, do we remember were they the only two that went in that year?
You know what? I'd have to look that up.
Because if not, you could have probably had 2 days, and you probably would have got still 80,000 for them two to go in together. I mean,
yeah. I'll look that up quick while we're talking. But they definitely were. I will say that they are, for me, they're the two greatest players I've gotten to watch play baseball in my lifetime.
Yeah, we all have our favorites. I mean, honestly, I would even throw Griffey in that category.
True. Yeah, we're right. I can't leave him out. Griffey would definitely be.
And on the pitching side, I mean, you got Clemens.
That's a whole different.
Yeah. So I mean, Clemens, the Braves starting three. I mean, yeah. But yeah, for a hitting side, yeah, Ripken, Gwynn and Junior.
Yeah, I just looked it up. It looks like it was just Cal Ripken and Tony Gwynn that went in that year.
Okay.
That year, yep.
Good.
And is it amazing to you that not even Cal Ripken okay, I'll start it this way. This is why I think they need to change the Hall of Fame voting system in baseball. Because we just said the three guys that were the best of our lifetime, right? On the offensive side. Not one of the three of them got 100% of the vote into the Hall of Fame. Tell me there's not something wrong with that. How do you have a voting pamphlet in front of you? You see Griffey Jr., Ripken Jr., and Gwynn, and not everybody votes for them. I don't understand that one. How
do they not get out? That is insane. You're right. It needs to be changed because those three not getting 100% of the votes is just ridiculous.
It is. That's crazy. By the way,
that's just like coming up in 5 years. Pujols, he should get 100%. He's not going
100%. 100% of the vote.
Yeah.
And honestly, I would even say Molina should get 100%. I mean,
yeah. I mean, those two guys, those two guys are the epitome of Hall of Fame baseball players, without question. James says there's new voters in that will vote better, I believe. I mean, I hope so. I really do. But yeah, they were the only two to go in that year.
That's good.
And it wouldn't be a show if we didn't shout out some sponsors. We got Open Minded from the Reaper Apparel Company. Don't forget about them. Go check out some stuff. They got some great stuff on their line. we also have Blue Planet Eyewear. They will the great thing about them is they'll give you a discount if you use Coast to Coast at checkout. But the better part of them is that 10% of their profits go to giving kids free eyeglasses that can't afford them.
Oh, that's cool.
So we need to get out there and do that for them. And then we're going to mention the Oregon Cougars. That season is coming up. April. Sorry about that. April 22nd in Seattle. We're going to be there. By the way, we've gotten some upgraded equipment, so we're going to have some different camera angles this year. That's going to be pretty awesome.
You got your mind on the Braves game, don't you, with the August thing?
I know, I do. So check that out. The Oregon Cougars. It's going to be a great season. We can't wait to watch the women fight their way into that season. It's going to be great. With that, what else we got coming up? Well, we're in the middle of the hockey season. We're in the middle of the NBA season. Quick answer on this one. LeBron passes Kareem. Does that make him the greatest of all time?
No.
God. So tired of this comparison, but I mean, no,
You're
you can't.
You're not the only one. I just know that that's a question that needs to be asked. I'm not saying it makes him the greatest.
No, you're right. But you got to think about it. LeBron's been in the league since he's 19. Kareem probably started right after college, 4 years of college. You know, I just it's hard to put LeBron. I mean, as the greatest of all time because he's going to pass Kareem. You know, it's a debate that I think a lot of us are kind of opening up to. Going back to Tom Brady being the greatest NFL guy of all time. I don't know. I just, the game is so much changed over the years, especially in basketball, that, Jordan would dominate this league right now if he was in the Kareem probably would too. So, yeah, I can't throw him up there.
I don't know. For me, the guy that everybody considers to be the GOAT, Jordan, they asked him if he thought he was the greatest. He said no, he thought Dr. J was.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
Right, but Dr. J played in a different era too. So I mean, you can go era to era, but
just because somebody's, because Kareem played how many years, LeBron's played how many years, the game's changed. I mean. Just because you play so many years, of course, you're going to pass somebody if you're a good scorer because, you're going to get years on them. So,
yeah, the NBA has talked about moving back the 3-point line again to make it a little more challenging.
Guys are shooting half court anyway.
Yeah. And then they asked the greatest coach of all time, and Greg Popovich. They asked him how he felt about them moving the 3-point line back, and he's like, "Well, hell, let's move that back and." And while we're at it, why don't we add a 4-point line and a 5-point line also, so that I can just keep coming out here and having these kids, and I can just keep running a circus. Let's just do it.
I love Pop.
Haven't they talked about raising the rim to 2 more feet? Because it's too easy to dunk on.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see what happens with that.
Why do they got to mess with a game that's so good and change? I mean.
It's the way it goes. Everything's changing.
I'm not saying today's game's good. It's not. I thought it was better when I was a kid growing up. The game was better.
It certainly was.
It was. You don't have these superstars. You don't have these 3-4 superstars on one team. Signing there, getting traded there, and they're untouchable now. I mean,
and you did have guys shoot the freaking ball from just barely over half court.
You got centers shooting the ball from 3-point range. That would not have happened back in the day.
Oh no. You drove in the lane back in the day. You were coming out with a bruise. That's just the way it was.
Oh, it's like you had a car wreck.
Yeah, no doubt. It was a whole different game definitely back when we played, back when we were kids. I was never a great shooter, but I tell you what, I loved being in the lane, getting those rebounds, and just flinging elbows everywhere.
Yep.
Yeah, that was always my part of the game. But things change, things evolve, as they say. But you know, we are coming up on some great stuff. We got the Little League World Series coming up. That'll be coming up. April, May. So that'll be great.
Yeah, right before school starts, I think.
And then what? And then we got we'll have
March
March
Madness.
Madness. Yep, March Madness will come.
Oh,
So
my
that'll be
favorite
great.
time of the year.
Oh man, it's so great. It's so great. It really is. Watching the little schools beat the big schools, and it's an awesome time.
For once, I want to see a 16th. It'll never happen, but 16th, you go all the way. That would be awesome.
I know. We finally got to see a 16-1. Like that's the first time that's ever happened.
Right.
That was 4 years ago now. So we'll see if they can make it all the way. That would be crazy, for sure. And then college football's changing again. Teams changing, conferences. I'll get a little more information on that and get you all caught up on that. But it's getting ridiculous now. Everyone's trying to be the SEC, so they're pulling in more teams. The Pac-12. They said that they're going to call it the Pac-12 +4. I don't really know how they're going to do it. But the Pac-12 is hoping to pull in Oklahoma and Texas. I don't know how that's going to work. That doesn't make it Pac because that means Pacific Ocean. So,
well, that's just like the Big Ten's bringing in USC and whoever. I mean, you know.
Yeah. So I don't really know.
Texas and Oklahoma are going to the Pac-12.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Well, so that's the talks, though. That's the talks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You
well,
know
it
what?
makes sense because they got to replace USC and
UCLA, which is
UCLA,
fine, but you know, it is whatever at this point. We all know Pac-12 football isn't real college football anyway, so you might as well throw two other teams in that don't really play college football.
I think. Go ahead.
The Big Ten is real college football. You run the ball. You run the ball and play defense. That's what you do in college football.
well, yeah, like years ago as kids, I remember watching college. I'm like, man, these guys never throw the ball. It's run.
Yep. But I think in like 10 years we're gonna see where it's gonna be 4 big conferences and everybody else. It'll be just 4 big conferences with like 20 some teams in each conference.
Probably. I mean, that's where we're headed at this point.
Oh yeah.
Well, why not? They're expanding the playoffs. What, 12 teams now?
Yeah.
Yeah. 12. I think 12's too many.
I thought they should have went with 8.
I thought 8 was perfect, to be honest.
Yep.
Because you have your Power 5. To me, it should have been your Power 5. The winner of each conference in the Power 5 gets an automatic bid. And then your other 3, you should have 2. You got like your 2 mid-majors. So then whatever if there's an undefeated team from Conference USA, they get the 6th spot. And then if there's an undefeated team from it, and then that last one's an at-large bid. I think that would have been just amazing. I think that would have been awesome. You'd have had teams going for something all season. But they definitely had to do away with 4 teams because it just.
You know what that means? With 12 teams, we're going to see Alabama in the playoffs every freaking year.
I know. We're going to see Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia. We're probably going to see, of 12 teams, we'll probably see 6 of them from the SEC every single year.
Yeah.
In the playoff, which is sad, to be honest.
And one thing too with college football, get rid of the rankings because rankings doesn't matter. I mean, you know, because realistically, if we're going to rank teams, then the top 12 teams in the rankings should be in the playoffs. I mean, there's your 12 best teams, and it never happens that way.
No,
so
it doesn't.
Just get rid of the ranking system.
although anything is better than, I'm going to say those dreaded 3 words that every college football player or every college football fan hated when it was out, and that was the BCS.
Yeah.
Yep.
We all called that the bullcrap series. That's what that
Yep.
was.
Yep.
I
It
mean,
was.
well, when you got a team back then, Oklahoma was really good, and so you got Oklahoma ranked 3rd, trying to get to number 1. I remember a game they're winning 54-3 against Kansas, and with 11 minutes left in the 4th quarter, they're taking shots into the end zone.
Yeah,
And
because back then it went by margin of victory or whatever. So
Right,
they
it
always
was
tried to
margin
run
of
the score.
victory and the what did they call it? And the look test. How do you look?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
I
that's
still
what brought-
remember, what was it, early 90s when did the Packers have to win a game by so many points and they're out there just slinging the ball all around to get
Yeah,
into
it was kinda
playoffs?
crazy back then. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was all crazy. How about the last thing before we do final thoughts here? How about the new salary caps in the NFL? Anyone hear about that today?
They added an extra. Every team gets an extra $16 million.
$230 million for the salary cap.
So my Bears have the widest margin. I mean, they have $98 million. The next closest is the Falcons, 56 to spend this year. That's crazy.
$230 million. So they added $16 million. So that essentially gets you a solid veteran at $16 million. Like every team can add a solid veteran player on their team.
Yeah.
So think about
Something
that. That's
baseball
kinda
needs,
crazy.
salary cap.
Baseball definitely needs a salary cap.
I agree. It would bring a lot of what's
It
the
would
word I'm
level the
looking
playing
for?
field somewhat.
Yeah. You would have a lot more teams in it for a lot longer. That's for sure. You wouldn't have your Pirates that finish every single year with close to 100 losses, or the Rockies or the Athletics. The Athletics are a joke, by the way. They need to move.
They'll be in Vegas.
They do need to move. They are a joke.
Yeah.
What's funny though is they tear it down, they build it back up, they get all these great players, and they tear it down again. And why?
Never makes any sense to me either. All right, Big B, give us some final thoughts.
Thanks for everybody for watching. Check us out tomorrow. We're gonna possibly be on about 9 Central in the morning for C2C Rankum. I got a couple things going on in the morning. And then also check out Between the Ropes later that evening. We'll recap the Royal Rumble.
Royal Rumble. Speaking of the Royal Rumble, before I get to mess around, know what? Mess around, go first. I'll say it after. Go ahead.
Okay. I just thank for watching. Hopefully, Ace, myself, and Joanne will be on Friday for Red Tape Files. We'll get that up and going again. We've all had different things going on lately to where we couldn't do it. So,
Yep, sounds great. And this is what I'll say about the Royal Rumble. The greatest Royal Rumble I've ever seen in my life, by the way. Yeah, I was a wrestling fan at one time. I know everyone's like, holy shit, J-Mac watched wrestling. Yeah, back in the day, I was a huge-ass wrestling fan. In fact, the NWO is still my favorite storyline of all time in wrestling. I'll never forget when the NWO debuted, and it got a little old for me. It got a little saturated when they went, NWO Wolfpack and then NWO. Yeah, it got a little saturated. But the original, like when the original 3 came out, oh man, that was the end of for me. I was like, I'm an NWO fan for life. Anyway,
Actually, J-Mac, I got one before you go. Want to send all their condolences. In the hockey world, Bobby Hall passed away today.
Yeah.
So
hockey world, sad day for them for sure.
Yep.
But the greatest Royal Rumble I ever saw was a man who set the record for the Royal Rumble. He's the only person to ever be able to enter the ring more than one time during the Royal Rumble.
Mick Foley.
Yeah, because he was Cactus Jack, Mankind,
Dude,
And
love.
and Dude Love all in the same Royal Rumble. That was
Yep.
pretty awesome.
Yeah, that was great. I remember that.
And I remember watching it, and man, I don't remember what year it was. I couldn't tell you without looking it up. But I do know that I was in my teens, which means that Ace probably wasn't even 10 years old yet at that time when we were watching it. And he's so into this, and he's like, oh my God, it's Mankind. Oh my God, it's Dude Love. And I'm like, that's the same person. No, it's not. Yes, it is. It is the same person.
Oh, we'll have to ask him that on Between the Ropes tomorrow.
Okay, but I mean, give him a break. He wasn't even 10 yet, and
I know.
it's the gimmick. But it was pretty awesome. It was pretty awesome to watch, nonetheless. It's always been pretty great. So, anyway, thanks for watching and listening.
1998.
Now there you go, 1998. So yeah, he was 8 or 9 when it came out. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching and listening. You can check for the Four Bros every Monday and Friday. Every Monday and Friday through I think the middle of May, and it'll be right after the Cougar season, and then we kind of take Fridays off for the summer to let everyone travel with their family and do all that stuff. And so we're not as active during the summer as we are the rest of the time. But thanks for watching us. Lifelong dreams being lived in front of your very eyes. We could not do this without you. And we'll see you all on the other side.